Hello, I'm Brandon Lewis, publisher of Painters Weekly, and one of my good friends, PhD Dr. Melissa Gratias. You can do those in reverse order. It doesn't really matter. It just means she's doubly smart when it comes to helping you organize your business, find ways to be productive, and to overcome the obstacles that are constantly harassing your profitability and peace of mind. Today, we're going to be talking about rituals and routines, and we're also going to be digging into how you spend your day, things that you can do to begin your day in a productive way, things that you can do to close out work and get on to the things that really define your life, which are not necessarily slaving away all the time at your painting business. I'm going to read a quick bio for Melissa so that you can understand the type of credibility she's bringing to you and her background today. She earned her PhD in industrial and organizational psychology at Virginia Tech. She got her undergraduate at Wake Forest University. She has spent 20 plus years helping small business owners, corporate leaders, and nonprofit leaders unshackle themselves from the low pay, high stress habits that keep them feeling unproductive, unmotivated, and unfulfilled so they can finally focus on the things that matter most. Melissa, thank you so much for being here with us today.
It is my pleasure, Brandon. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, before we dig in, can you tell us a little bit about your personal background?
Well, I have been a small business owner myself for 10 years. I have owned my productivity consultancy since 1997. So I'm with you. I understand the trials and tribulations. I was in corporate America prior to then, and it was just crazy. So I'm really thrilled to be talking to all of you today. I am not by nature an organized and systematic person, but the good news is I've learned to be so, and so can you. So today we're going to be talking about rituals, which are one of my favorite topics.
Awesome. And these are not of the satanic variety. These are not the ones that
no chanting, no burning incense. No, we're not doing
the funny hats in the woods and the rocks. No. Okay, well, these are different ones we're going to talk about today. So I'd like to talk about your unique insights as it relates to habits and rituals and how they affect productivity. Talk about what a ritual is. Talk about what habits are and how they're different.
Well, and I really wish we could chant and burn incense and run in circles, but that's not productive, at least not right now. Okay, here's what we're talking about. A ritual is something that we human beings are very accustomed to doing anyway. Think about your when you get out of bed, for example. I am reasonably sure if you are like most humans, you have a step-by-step process that you follow where things generally go in the same order every time, where you get from bed to car. That you have a certain order in which you perform these standard operations, and it helps you get out the door in the most efficient way possible. And where we run into trouble sometimes is when we don't follow our rituals, or we get distracted out of our ritual by certain things. So that's why I like to talk about rituals, is because we humans, we are naturally ritualistic creatures. It's something that we default to in order to be productive and effective in our lives. Now, we hear a lot about habit. I need to just develop a good habit. I need to develop a habit of exercise. I need to develop a habit to keep a task list. Habit. And the difference between conceptualization of a habit versus a ritual. A habit is more subconscious. It's something that I'm waiting to descend on me. When I hope it will happen soon. When will this habit happen to me? Habit. And research has shown that habits can take anywhere, wait for this range, can take anywhere from 18 to 254 days to establish. Wow. That's like wild. I mean, that's really hard to manage something that has that much variation in it. Rituals, by contrast, are more intentional and checklisty. Make up words. Things that we do. These are things that we can schedule and adapt. But they can be as reinforcing and rewarding as habits. rituals are something that professional athletes are exceptional at, absolutely exceptional. In my house, my son is a swimmer, and so we pay a lot of attention to the Olympics. And I don't know if you noticed when you were watching Michael Phelps swim, he's very ritualistic when he swims. Everything from when he walks on the pool deck to when he puts on his cap, when he gets on the block, he even I wonder if I can do this. He slaps himself. I can't do it. My arms aren't long enough. He slaps himself on the back 3 times and at different points of his back, and then puts his hand on the front of the block, adjusts his goggles, and goes. I will tell you, at the swim meet following our most recent Olympics, every single 8-year-old was like, it was okay. I'm distracted. Anyway, so rituals are things that we do. They are more intentional and checklisty, and we can use them. We can initiate them now. We don't have to wait 18 to 254 days for them to happen to us. We can do rituals today. We can make a decision and a conscious effort to do a ritual. That's the difference.
Okay, so talk about a few rituals that owners can use to be more productive. There's really 2 that I want to focus on in our short time together here today. And it's where I see a lot of people get derailed. And you mentioned this in a presentation that I recently saw, that how you start your day is really important. Most people, it's hair on fire, whatever falls in their lap, they immediately start chasing their tail. And then by the time lunch rolls around, they realize all the things they meant to do have not been addressed or even started. And now their energy level is starting to ebb. And this whole day of running the painting business has just gone out the door. And then tomorrow's looking really good to do all the things that you haven't done in the last 4,334 tomorrow, yesterday's tomorrow. The next tomorrow is going to get you there. So how do you start your day so it doesn't suck?
Oh, I love that question. Thank you, Brandon. And when I ask a client, what is the first thing you do when you get into work? What do you, Brandon, think their answer is?
I would guess they immediately start responding to emails or social media or checking inboxes, even though the thing hasn't asked them to do it, because they have done it like that forever. They immediately start looking for something to respond to.
You're absolutely right. I got to turn the questioning back on you. So yes, delving into email first thing is the way most people start their day. And what does that do? It puts you at the mercy of everyone else. It puts you in firefighting response mode, which sets the tone, like you said, Brandon, for their entire day. What I recommend to my clients is to intentionally plan an opening ritual that is of their own making. And I have 2 elements that I recommend be in that opening ritual, and many of my clients add more. The first thing that needs to be in any opening ritual is to examine your calendar for the day. So just to open it up and take a look and see what's coming. Make sure that teleportation is not the preferred mode of transportation from one place to another. All those types of things, just examine your calendar, get yourself in that mental place for the upcoming meetings, so that you and maybe you might even put your travel time in there. It just helps you. Examining your calendar helps you plan for a smoother day. Yeah. Second thing that needs to be in an opening ritual. So number 1 is examine your calendar. Number 2 is examine your task list, your to-do list, whatever name you want to apply to this thing. It's examine all the things that the tasks that maybe don't have to be done at 9:32, but need to be acted on at some point during the day. Those are the things that are on your task list. And if you have a large task list, then you might narrow it down and select, for example, 3 things that you must do today, 3 must-dos, and then start on one of those. So examine your calendar, examine your task list, and start on a task before you open up that inbox and are sucked into the black hole of everyone else's needs. Yeah. So one of my clients, he's an accountant. He has a book of daily devotionals that he keeps on his desk, and that's part, reading 1 page out of that is part of his opening ritual. I have another client who getting up and getting a latte which is an easy thing for her to do because her company has this like amazing coffee bar. So, the opening ritual needs to contain things that will help you gear up for a productive day that you are in control of. And then the other ritual, if you got an opening ritual, you got to have a closing ritual. So the closing ritual is basically the reverse of that. It is at the end of the day. This is when you're clocking out for the day. You do at least two things. The first one is updating your to-do list with what you got done, getting that off, and adding the things that emerged throughout the day that you need that need to be done some other day. So updating your to-do list it's like a reverse of the opening ritual, because in the opening ritual we started off with the calendar and looked at the task list, and now the closing ritual we're looking at the task list and finishing up with a calendar review of the next several business days so that you can get yourself prepared for what's coming tomorrow and beyond. So an opening ritual and a closing ritual, these things can be scheduled on your calendar, and that is so important.
And I bet that lady who drinks the latte at the end of the day has a really hard time sleeping.
I'll bet she does.
So what we set aside, I want to talk about one more thing before we close. And one of the big things that I think people struggle with is getting geared up for certain tasks that help them make money. And you outlined in your presentation a little micro ritual that you do that helps you start writing. And I'm the same way. I write a lot. You write a lot. Most of our guys that are painting contractors, believe it or not, if they want to sell something, market something, they've got to create something, a system, call on people, do something that's outside of their comfort zone, that is self-initiated and not something that they're responding to. When you're going to talk about developing maybe a small micro ritual that helps you get started on a high-value task that you really, really would rather avoid.
Well, I'll give two examples of this. One is my personal example of a task with which I struggle, and then I'll give you another example of this with a client of mine who needed to learn how to speak German. But first, let's talk with you mentioned writing, and for me, writing is a high value activity that brings in a lot of people to my tribe, but I will tell you, there's nothing more intimidating to me than a blank Word document on screen, and I look at it and I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do? It's so intimidating. And so I was finding myself procrastinating writing everything from not having a glass of water close by to not my feet being cold. It was really silly, and I would go on a hunt for socks. So what I found is if I constructed a micro ritual, it was just the term that I gave to what I'm going to do. It's like Michael Phelps slapping himself on the back. It's what I'm going to do to help get me all geared up for writing. And it's everything from getting a glass of ice water to getting socks already on my feet to opening up my resources to shutting down Outlook. It's a very sequential series of steps that by the time I look at the blank Word doc, I'm ready for it. I'm ready. I can tackle it. So whatever your blank Word document is, you can construct a micro ritual to address it. One of my clients works at an automotive manufacturer. I needed to learn how to speak German. That was one of his professional development goals for the year. He tacked on a micro ritual to the end of something he was already doing every night, which was tucking his daughter into bed. So he went through the ritual of what he does to tuck his daughter into bed, which kids are extremely ritualistic creatures. And the last thing in that kid tucking bed ritual was to turn out the light. And what we did is we said, okay, turn out light, go downstairs to the dining room. And so turn out light was not the end. It was the middle of a ritual to go downstairs to the dining room, open up German book, study German. So you can put these micro rituals into your normal life as like the new ritual is the caboose on the train of an already existing ritual to help you get this new behavior done and not, again, wait for the habit to descend upon you. So think about what you're procrastinating, what tasks you're struggling with, and construct a micro ritual to help remove some of the anxiety from those.
I agree. I found that one of my micro rituals that I've used that has also helped a lot of our owners break their habit is the beginning of it is changing their environment. And so I've got one owner that runs a multi-million dollar company that can't get anything done at the office. So he goes down to a library in the ghetto. One is, and there's a room that you can reserve the room, and he goes into this library, and that's the beginning of his ritual of what he takes with him and what he works on, and he can't be bothered, and he can't be pestered, and he can't be found, and he leaves his cell phone at the office. And so sometimes people have to go to those extremes, and he starts it. It's every Wednesday from 8 to 12. That's where he goes. I bought a Lazy Boy recliner and put it in my office and set up a mini office just for writing. And I start my ritual by getting in the Lazy Boy, getting something to drink, turning on some background music, and I sit there, and I'm like, I can't get out of this chair. It's a pain in the butt, and I have to move my computer and everything. So once I'm in there, I write. And so for owners who are struggling doing something, often it means just getting so far away from things that may be the beginning of your ritual, plus the other things. And changing your environment is really important. Well, we talked about closing rituals. We talked about habits. We talked about how to initiate some micro rituals, in particular to overcome procrastination or to begin very difficult tasks. Do you have any closing thoughts that you'd like to leave us with about habits and rituals?
Well, I want to reiterate something I said at the beginning. We humans are very naturally ritualistic creatures. We like to follow certain steps. It's how our brains make sense of our environment, reduce uncertainty, all sorts of things. So my encouragement to you is, if for some reason you are struggling or thinking, oh, I lack self-discipline, I can't develop good habits. If these are the types of thoughts you're having about yourself, about anything, whether it's productivity or, doing Pilates, I don't know. Think about it in terms of a ritual. It gives you a sense of more control over your own behaviors rather than waiting for some habit to happen to you that will only happen to you if you're a good person or a motivated person. A ritual is something anybody can do. It can be scheduled on your calendar. It can be written down on a piece of paper, and you follow it like it's a checklist. And the super secret result is you end up developing habits.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody, but just if this is a struggling point for you, just think about them as rituals. I need to establish some new rituals. They will help me be more productive, and they will help me do the things that I need to be doing.
So, Melissa, you've been very kind with your time today. Can you tell people how to access your resources, your ebooks? You've got a newsletter as well. How can people go about getting some more helpful information from Dr. Melissa Gratias?
Thank you so much for asking, Brandon. If you like what you heard and you want to read more, my website is www.melissagratias.com. Now, unfortunately, Gratias is not spelled the way it's pronounced. So let me spell it for you. It's MELISSAGRATIAS.com. Looks like Gratias, but it's pronounced gracious. So please visit me on my website.
Yeah, I'm sure no one has ever called you Melissa Gratias before.
Never.
So thanks, Melissa, for sharing over 2 decades of wisdom with us about organizational management, being more productive, establishing rituals, even the ones that are productive and that don't involve small donkeys and people painted in very bright colors.
But there's nothing wrong with that. There's not anything wrong with that.
So again, and thank you to my Painters Weekly subscribers. Until next time, I'm Brandon Lewis, signing off.